There are actually very few things, in my opinion, in this world that can certainly prove we are all equal. One of that is time. When it comes to time, you and I get what everyone else gets: 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. It doesn't matter your size, race, age, gender, faith, or the size of your bank account. The clock ticks at the same speed for you and me. But somehow, we forget that. Many act like they are above the moments that passed and the moments that will come. And that even became more pronounced when COVID hit. While some suffer or mourn the pain that the virus inflicted, while many were battered and beaten to a pulp, while efforts diminished and were rendered irrelevant, time went on in the same speed every day. It tested us all, and two factions emerged: those that allowed the forced solitude to steal the life they built or could build, and those that created a beautiful life in the forced solitude. BTS was the latter.
Episode 4, we're halfway. Okay, this is one of those episodes where it feels like every second of the entire episode is actually a quotable quote. Like practically paused every time a sentence ends. I would pause and then just go back to what they said and then have to think about it. That's it. There's so much wisdom and so much insight in this episode. I was actually overwhelmed with the amount of wisdom and insights that they uncovered. It is one of the most intellectually stimulating episodes they have delivered across all documentaries that they have released. All right, so I hope that you would end up liking this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Of course, subscribe and hit that notification button so that you don't miss a single video that we release. And share the video if you can. Also, make sure to connect with me on all the social media links that you see on your screen right now. Okay, let's go to the video.
How BTS tamed the brutality of time. Nothing demonstrated the brutality of time as hard as COVID did. Relationships were destroyed, people suffered, jobs were lost, people's lives were changed for the worse, and time ticked as it did every single day. It didn't care about the people who built their lives to peace and prosperity. It didn't care for people who needed other people. COVID, by any measure, was a survival of the fittest and the sanest. BTS, on the other hand, more than thrived. They owned time, and they started by simply surrendering to what was given to us all: isolation. They accepted that there is nothing they can do single handedly, at least, to change anything. The only thing they can do is work with what was given. And they ended up creating the template for the digital future the world is about to have, based on the foundation they built with their fans, the army. They doubled down on their communication with armies. They tried new things with their music in order to reach out to a wider audience, which included releasing English songs, online concerts, deviation from their career spanning narrative, expansion of their creative ventures, which included taking on different roles in the creation of their album, and stretching their brand reach, which included hands on creation and production of limited edition merchandise. While their most prominent achievement was their reign over Billboard, their maturity as artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries were, in the long term, in my opinion, will prove to be more valuable. Taking on different roles in the creation of their pandemic era album B undoubtedly taught them more things about the creative and business processes involved in releasing and promoting an album. The creation of their own merch, speaking from experience, would have provided them a valuable lesson in market research, product development, and production costs. Just as many parts of the world regressed by 10 years, they jumped forward 10 years. They had time, just like we all did, and BTS decided to use it while others lamented it. Unselfishness was a survival instinct. It was army, each other, and the people that worked with them that prompted them to find a way on how to continue working despite their forced isolation. Jimin said that he felt so defeated because he felt like something was stolen from him. But he couldn't get stuck because fans kept on supporting them through it all, trending them on social media, breaking records for them, and continuously communicated that the army is waiting. It was refreshing to hear someone think unselfish at a time when many were becoming very, very self centered by living for others. BTS pushed their career forward while the world was standing still. The best of the worst. Hindsight is always 2020. Looking back, it's natural to see what we did wrong and what we could have done differently. It seems BTS isn't exempted from that. Several times, they have expressed the difficult things they have gone through, but in this documentary, they laid claim over all of those, making sure it's clear that whatever difficulties they have or had, it was born by their own decisions, their own choices, and their own volition. Last episode, Jimin himself stated that Bang Shiuk offered them a 6-month break, and it was their decision not to stop, wanting to make sure that they can take advantage of the momentum they have established. The decision to keep on going, as we now know, took a toll on their physical and mental health. They almost broke up. There's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda, but in this documentary, they are laying claim over their own difficulties. Whatever they went through was a result of the path they chose to take, no one else's choice. It's the best of the worst, and it's all on them. What's good about taking control over your own suffering is that you get to claim the victory over your own recovery. Them managing to stay together is the ultimate proof that victory is theirs and theirs alone. The biggest what if.
Dynamite and Butter wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for COVID. Even BTS said that they decided to actually sing Dynamite and co-write Butter simply because they really were desperate to reach out to armies all over the world, because that was what would have happened if it wasn't for COVID. What many ask is whether they would have managed to reach the top of Billboard and, as an effect, solidify their presence in the mainstream pop in the global music industry if it wasn't for COVID. I really feel it's a useless question, primarily because BTS has already proven that there is absolutely no hurdle, no mountain, no wall that they can't knock down. There is no problem they can't turn into a blessing. And that even if you put mountains upon mountains in front of them, they will just continue paving the damn way. And also, Billboard is not the ultimate measure of one's mainstream success in the global music industry. Prior to hitting number one with Dynamite, they already sold out Wembley for 2 days. And there's like I think less than 10 or a little bit more than 10 artists who have managed to do that. And they were already selling out stadiums all over the world. Maps of the Soul tour would have been an all-stadium tour. And had it pushed through, it would have been one of the biggest tours ever, globally, bar none. So I have absolutely no doubt that they would have taken a different route, going to in becoming one of the mainstream artists in the US. They would have taken a different route, but they would have gotten to where they are now, if not higher, if it wasn't for COVID.
Only the things and people you value can hurt you. RM said that the stage is what brings him the most pain, but also what makes him the happiest. But there are so many layers to what he said. Physically, a concert is one of the most physically demanding things a musician can do, especially if you do it the way BTS is doing it. RM wasn't a natural dancer, and to train and push his body to keep up to the level of energy as three of the best dancers in the world, J-Hope, Jimin, and Jungkook, takes more out of him than from someone who is a natural dancer. Concerts are also not intrinsically a part of music, which is what RM creates, but it's how they intrinsically connect with their fans' armies. The physical, emotional, and mental sacrifice and conditioning he has to put himself through is matched with just as much physical, emotional, and mental rewards. But it does highlight one thing: happiness requires pain, achievements require sacrifices. You can't have one without the other. If you want to be happy, you better be damn ready for the dang pain you will have to survive to get there. There are certain things only BTS can do. Bang Shiyuk and BTS aren't necessarily big on taking credit, even if they know they deserve it. So it's a treat to hear them give a clue on how aware they are of their impact. Bang Shiyuk mentioned that only BTS has the fandom large enough and devoted enough to be mobilized at the scale necessary for certain visions to even become a possibility. The size and devotion of ARMY allow them to conceptualize certain projects that would only work with the size of ARMY, such a large scale gala for their TV promotions. It was so satisfying to hear that they were aware of the real power of BTS and ARMY, despite the many PR stunts and media plays of other companies. They still know with certainty that while others can bark, only they can afford to bite because the power of ARMY allows them to do so. And also, I hope that they push through with some, if not all, of their original promotional plans spoiled by COVID. Working hard is back in fashion.
There was something about the way RM said, "We worked our butt off." That's all I can say. There was a certain resignation in his voice and a certain pride and a certain wisdom that I really usually just hear from or feel from top tier athletes like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan or Rafael Nadal, or visionaries that really changed the world, from, I don't know, like Tesla or Einstein or even Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. And you can say whatever it is that you want to say about their character, but you can't deny that these people would actually put their heart and soul on the line, and their blood and their kidney and liver and just about every functioning limb that they have in the pursuit of a dream or a vision. And that's really the best kind of poetry for me. That's poetry in motion. That's life lived in poetry, when someone actually spend their entire life in the pursuit of a vision or a cause. In the last several years, oddly enough, many people are attempting to erase the value and the importance of that, to the point that people who work hard and drive for excellence are actually being shamed for wanting to do so or for being able to do so. There seems to be this drive towards mediocrity and laziness, as if being different or rising above everybody else or achieving a certain kind of excellence is a bad thing, that you're supposed to be just like everybody else. RM stating it so simply and so sincerely felt like almost like a creed. Because the thing is that he didn't brag about success. He didn't brag about the money or the sales or the awards. It wasn't the one thing that he said. The one thing that he said is that they worked hard. And then he just left us all to sort of think about and realize what that working hard allowed them to do, allowed them to achieve, and allowed them to do. And that is to change lives and to save lives.
The biggest event for US music was a simple event for them. To be nominated 5 times for the Grammys is a big honor, will always be. But in the scheme of things, it was but a small part of their epic journey. BTS managed to dwarf the biggest event in the US music industry. From the night they were watching the nominations, BTS was a picture of chill. One of them was so busy convincing people to go to a convenience store, that's Taeyong, and another was so consumed by his lack of gaming ability, Jimin. But kidding aside, if you pull back and actually think about the events of the 2 years COVID took over the world, they really transformed global pop music. They casted such a giant shadow that they really managed to dim the lights of Grammy. The things they did, the things that they revolutionized, were just much more important. They laid down the template for the future of pop artists in the era of digital innovation and cultural fusion. They opened new avenues for revenue to further help artists make a living out of their own passion. They expanded what is supposed to be a global music to outside the US. They redefined the K pop genre and transformed it into a culture. Grammy was a mere paragraph in this part of their career. Not a single member talked about their wasted efforts. Let there be no doubt. For BTS, it's always ARMY first. When they were told Map of the Soul tour was cancelled, their first reaction was to think about their fans. Not a single one talked about their wasted effort or their preparations going nowhere. Their concern was what was going to happen to those who bought the tickets, and how ARMY won't be able to see them, and how it's a global crisis and not just theirs. And if you had been on Weverse and Twitter at that time, all ARMY was thinking about was how BTS was going to cope. Yep, the respect, care, and love are mutual. And that's what makes this relationship magical. It's one thing to reach the top, it's another to stay there.
So when Bang Shi-yuk said that, he was actually referring to the longevity of BTS on the chart, because as we all know, they were like there for forever in number one. It really is different. It's one thing to reach the top, it's another thing to maintain it. And BTS has been maintaining their position at the top for years and years now. They have been peaking for 7 years. Each time that they would achieve something, people will say that, oh, they've peaked. That's it. That's the best that they could do. And then they would just go higher and higher and higher. And when the haters thought that BTS is finally done because they're all in the military, they coughed up 7 global artists, and they have proven that the parts of the whole are just as important as the whole itself. And from the looks of it, the 2025 comeback is going to be their biggest and their best, for sure, creatively and most likely commercially as well. And I really can't wait. They've managed to, this level of the longevity of their peak is record breaking, because there are very few artists in the world who've managed to stay on top this long. Most of them would peak for like 3, 4, 5 years and then they would die down. But BTS has been, as I've said, peaking for the last 10 years, right? So it's amazing. And even more amazing is that they have managed to stay on top even when they're actually not doing anything. They're in hiatus because they're serving the military. So I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. This is actually one of those episodes where I had to actually pause every time someone would be interviewed, like almost line per line. I would have to pause because there's so much wisdom in that episode. It's so packed with so much wisdom and so much realizations and so much insights that you can't just you won't. It's not enough for you to just watch it in one go. For you to be able to digest what they're actually communicating, you really have to pause and really read and just sit back and think about what they're saying. Really, I would love to hear your thoughts. This series is just really getting better and better. Please leave them in the comment section below. As per always, you can say what you want to say. Just make sure that you say it respectfully. You can always get in touch with me in any of the social media links that you see on your screen right now. Please follow me on Twitter because I'm going to start uploading new content there, different from what I'm uploading here. And if you ended up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe and hit that notification button so that you don't miss a video that we're uploading, and share the video if you can, because that's really helping my channel. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. Till next time.